sequel book. Well, now we have seen the movie and we're going to talk about that. There's so much to unpack with this movie. And if you are like us and you watch something or you read something and then it immediately leaves your brain, we're going to do a little bit of a recap, right? Before we get into our thoughts and feelings about this movie. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about what made it into the movie from the book and what didn't. What we're grateful didn't make it into the movie, because there's several things. There's so many things that I am very grateful to not have made it into the movie. But before we get into that, thank you for coming back, Victoria. So glad to have you on this episode. I feel like it makes so much sense for you to be here after we just literally talked about all of the unhinged plot points in the book. So super excited to have you here. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Even though you were here like last week. So let's get into the movie. All right. So the movie takes place, is it 20 years from the last one?
Yeah, 20 years later.
Okay. So it's 20 years later. All right. And Andy is not with her man, Nate, from the first movie, which thank God.
Thank the Lord. Okay?
Cheers, whoever wrote him out. Thank you. I think a dark part of me healed, not seeing her with the toxic man.
And there's something really funny that I read the other day, and that the actor who played Nate was upset that he wasn't going to be in the movie. And I'm like, boy, did you know your character? This is exactly why. You are him. Please walk away.
Where's the self-awareness?
Literally.
Yeah, I was really glad to not see him in there, especially since, as we talked about in our last episode, that Andy ends up getting back together with him. I'm glad they cut that. So, anyway, it starts 20 years later, and the movie opens with Andy, and she's like at a award ceremony, I think for journalists. And she's like at a table with all of her like fellow journalists, and she wins this award. But right before she goes up to give her speech, the whole table gets fired. Which, let me just tell you, as someone who just lost their job in the federal government, this movie, I needed a trigger warning.
It was such a real way to open, though, with like how the world is changing and everything that is going on. Being at an award ceremony, two people from your table winning awards as you actively get fired says so much about like journalism and writing in the world of AI. And I was like, this was a beautiful way to describe how crazy things are right now. But it definitely was a lot for an opening. A lot.
Yeah, definitely like trigger warning for the unemployed. Just want to say, the recently unemployed. This is your trigger warning. Also, this episode's gonna have a lot of spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, you might want to, go watch it and come back. But just to get back to the plot. Basically, the whole table gets fired, including Andy. So she has a crash out on stage while she is giving her speech. Now, this is also something I want to talk a little bit about. I feel like in the beginning of the movie, they showed us a little bit that she spoke about what was happening with the firings, but they really only showed us a little bit later what actually happened in the speech, and that was just like from a clip. I kind of wish that we got to just see the speech instead of like a small clip of it,
Yeah, I thought it was weird that the parts that they were going to highlight later weren't the parts that they showed us. That's the part that I thought was weird, because did we need to see the entire speech? No. But if you're going to have all of these articles posted about what she's saying, show us that part so that we know, because you also only put it up on the screen for approximately 5 seconds each. So we're not reading to know what happens because you're not giving us the time to do so. So I thought that was definitely a little weird.
Yeah, I agree. And I think especially since the speech was such a big reason why she was kind of brought back into the fold of Runway, it's kind of like shocking that they didn't include it. But speaking of that, I think it's interesting that her losing her job and her having a crash out that went viral is what is the reason why she came back into the fold. And I want to say, BJ Novak, I hated you in every second of this movie. Good job. You did such a good job because I hated you.
From the very beginning.
Every second of him.
Yes. Watching him in that limo from the very beginning where he was so underdressed and was acting so cocky, I was like, I don't like you immediately.
Bravo.
However, do I think his role was incredibly needed? Yes. I just don't like you. You are the least villainy of villains, given how things ended up coming together, but like still a villain in my book.
Yes, I agree. And it's very interesting how, you know, his character like doesn't even realize that he got played, which is so funny to me, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to talk about basically what happened with Runway, and you know, they were quote unquote being canceled, and that kind of whole plot point. I think it's very interesting that Miranda was basically in hot water, so to speak, for supporting a fast fashion brand, and I think that was a really great thing to highlight, that that's something that, you know, is not acceptable and something that's not encouraged in the Devil Wears Prada verse.
I also really like the way that they did it, where Miranda didn't know, and so she was being duped just like everyone else by this brand, and I feel like that's also very modern for today in 2026. Yeah. And I really like that they showed like everyone makes that mistake, and so you have to be very careful. But I think it was really funny that it ended up being Miranda who was the one who's like, well, I didn't know. Because Miranda, of all people, from where she was to where she is now, it also showcases her aging in a really good way.
Yeah. Every time someone says mistake, I think of that one Hannah Montana song. Everybody has those days.
Everybody makes mistakes.
That's literally, that was Miranda's, that should have been her theme song for the movie, yes. For real. I feel like they changed her character a little bit in this movie. I was talking with my husband because I made him come with me. He's a real one for that. I made him watch the first movie, and we went to the movies to see the second movie like not even 20 minutes after the first movie ended.
Honestly, I support this. I support this. Great husband qualities, okay?
So he supported me, y'all. Yeah. But I feel like, and I was telling him when after we watched the movie, I said, Miranda feels so different in this movie. And I was really thinking about that, and I was like, in the first film, we don't get a lot of Miranda scenes without Andy there. So it's like we're seeing Miranda from everyone else's POV. Yes. Whereas this movie, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I loved about her character development, right, is that we only see the really negative parts of her in the first film. But in this one, we get to see every flawed part of her. And I think it was actually Meryl Streep who had said during one of the interviews something along the lines of, the one thing that she doesn't like about movies is that they really idolize the hero and villainize the villains. But in The Devil Wears Prada 2, even the heroes become villains. And I was like, that is such a good, like, way to describe how this movie really portrayed all of the characters. Because Miranda is supposed to be this big villain, but you saw her soft spots in this too. And, like, watching her through the aging process of, like, do I have my glasses? Can I read that? No. She still had those, like, salty parts of her, but you also got to see that she was struggling and what she was dealing with and how she coped with a lot of differences and all of these things that were changing when she didn't have control for the first time.
What did you think about her having... Actually, I can ask this for Andy. Actually, I can ask really this for all of the women in the movie. What did you think about all of the characters having a love interest in this movie? Because that has had the internet kind of split.
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? Andy didn't need a man in this film, okay? She just didn't. I think Miranda did. Miranda's character needed someone because of the twins. She needed someone to be able to be there to support her because she was so reliant on someone in the first film, and she was obviously, like, they were raising the kids together, right? But, like, her not having someone this time around, she wouldn't have had someone to go home to, so she would have only worked, and it would have really taken away the soft spots of her, the soft parts of her. I think
I
with
agree.
Emily needed that because Emily was using him, right? Like, a big part of that was her character development and all of the shitty things that she does that we will certainly talk about. And so she also needed that. But Andy didn't need him. And it was weird that Lily was pushing it. Because why? Like, it's 2026. We are women empowerment. Why are you pushing her to get with a man? A random man that you don't even know, mind you. That you just happen to walk in and see them talking and flirting. It was just a little odd. Did I like him?
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna give some pushback on that, but this could be because I am a huge Lily stan. The fact that they're the only friendship that has remained is very telling to me.
Yes,
but
agreed.
I do agree with you. I don't think really anyone needs a man. I do think it made sense for Miranda because I think that's how we got some of those scenes with her. That's not just a POV of like Andy or Emily or Nigel or all of these people. I think it helped with the storytelling. I feel like with Andy, I'm just thinking about like my friend and I'm like my friends and I'm like, okay, if you're like flirting with someone, like, yeah, I'm gonna be like, girl, like get his number, talk to him. Like, what are you doing? So I can understand her from that perspective, but I do think that lens of like, that just thinking of like the lens of like women don't need men, I can understand that. I don't know if I think Lily just wanted her to be happy, and I think she just thought Andy being happy equaled Andy having a man, and I think that can be a little problematic.
Yeah, it was just, I think it was the way in which it happened for me that made, like, Lily pushing it weird. Because she was already trying to make her happy by getting her out of that really dumpy apartment that barely had running water, right? Like, how many times did she have to smack the sink to get the water to turn clear? Gross. No one wants to be living in an apartment like that after all of these years. Great friend for really trying and pushing. But that's where I was like, why are you now pushing a man on top of the apartment, right? Like, I thought the apartment was supposed to be why you're there, trying to make her happy. Did I like him? Yes, I did. I thought that they were actually really cute together. I just don't think it was necessary. I don't think that the story
it didn't add.
The plot would have changed. Yes, I think it just
it didn't
added
add
time to it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it added much to the plot. And speaking of the apartment, can we just talk about the fact that Andy was crapping on this apartment only to just move in?
Right.
Like, hello. So, are we against it or are we not? It's like...
Well, and that's where the man comes in, right? Because she was like, "Oh, I get to see him again if I move into this complex, and I get to support him." And that's kind of where I think that plot became more important to the story, because she didn't want to live in an apartment building that was taken over like that, and yet, why else would she move in there?
Yeah, I agree. I was definitely happy to see Andy kind of level up with her apartment. I feel like just even level up and like being comfortable in her own skin. I feel like in this movie also like the power dynamic has shifted between her and like Nigel and Miranda. You know, she's not an intern anymore. She's, you know, not on their level, but she has there's a different power dynamic in this. And I think I really loved seeing her kind of just be comfortable in that, because I feel like in the first movie as an intern, which I think most people who are interns feel this way, she was just so unsure of herself, so unsure of her job and her role. And I think in this movie, there was a little bit of that, but I think it was more so on the creative side than necessarily like, you know, her being uncomfortable with the role.
Yeah, I think it was, I'll even challenge that and say, I think her uncomfortability was truly just Miranda, right? Like, Miranda is putting this pressure on me. Now I have to try to go back and please Miranda again. My work is good. I know what I'm doing, but this isn't what she wants. And so how do I pick something that she is going to want? I think that's more so where her pressure came from, but I agree 100%. Her confidence in every part of her was so strong. And I the moment that she walked into Miranda's office and started babbling like an idiot, I was cackling, okay? I was cracking up at that. And then her, like, backtracking and going, oh my God, I thought you knew, and, like, having that whole moment. I think that was the only time that we really saw her confidence, like, go back down to where she was. But she picked that up as soon as that whole experience was over and was like, no, like, I'm here for a reason. I was hired. Let me show up and do my job.
Yeah, I agree. I really love seeing all of them back together, and it's interesting. I found out recently that Emily Blunt was actually, like, she advocated for more scenes between Nigel, Miranda, herself, and Anne Hathaway, and I think it's really interesting that wasn't already planned and that she had to communicate that. But I think it goes to show you how deeply they care about the roles that they're playing. And yeah, I gotta say, Emily Blunt, she definitely stole some scenes in this, and she was like a highlight for me. And I'm just like, I would love to see her more of her story. Like, yeah. I feel like, obviously I don't need another movie, I don't, but I would love just to see that character developed more. I feel like all of the other characters, I feel like we've gotten so much development, that there's just so much room for Emily, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like she held on to so much from her runway days that she never truly moved on from it. Like, Andy had a chance to move on. Nigel had a chance to grieve the life that he thought he was going to have, right? Like, all of the other characters had these moments.
We gotta talk about
like,
that.
Realizing, oh, yes. But all of the other characters had moments of realization, whereas Emily was forced to do these things. And so when she finally has her moment to realize it, it's not till the end of the movie, and we don't really get a glimpse of that other than the very, very end where they're, you know, having their lunch and they get to talk a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to kind of get to the central conflict in the movie. And really what it is I think one runway operating in this new space of this new digital age, right? Where it's, you know, people aren't getting print magazines. I will say I love magazines. This may tell my age, but I do not know if y'all remember the J14 magazines that you would get at like CVS. Like, I love those. You know, they would have like the posters, like the Jonas Brothers posters, or like One Tree Hill or something. I ate that up. Like, I loved magazines when I was younger, and
I had so many posters hanging up on my wall when I was a child. Okay, I love them. Tiger Beat, come on! If there was a Tiger Beat that I didn't have, we had a problem.
Oh my God, I want to like kind of bring that back, low key. Like, is J14 still operational? If it is not, please hire me and I will literally resurrect that magazine. Like, millennials would eat it up.
We would literally die for that. I'm not going to lie.
Right? I would have my updated Jonas Brothers, like, posters in there.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I feel like the central conflict of the film really is, you know, that struggle of operating in this new digital age. And I think, as all good things do, like, good things get ruined by capitalism, right? And I think they have to pull numbers, they have to make a certain amount of money and for things to be able to create the art that they want to create. And I really feel like that's kind of the central conflict. And also Miranda and the magazine trying to recover from this cancellation, which supposedly, and let's be real, this is not how it would work. Supposedly, Andy has gotten them uncanceled by writing an article.
Yeah, I think that's the most unrealistic plot point in the entire film because, and this is, hear me out, okay? This is no hate to Gen Z, okay? But they don't uncancel people. They just don't. And we know cancel culture stems from Gen Z. If they're canceled, they're not coming back from that. However, I did enjoy...
An article.
Yeah, I did enjoy that it was Andy who got to save the day, but is it realistic? No.
Yeah. I don't think it is at all. But kudos to Andy for saving Runway more than once. I mean, she kind of ruined it, but she fixed it again. Which which brings me to my next point, which is what is the guy's name that passed away? Whoever owned the Irv, yes. Irv. So he passes away. And that's really when things start to shift in the movie, because everyone's worried about, like, oh, are we all going to have jobs? This is that. And I think that is so real. Like, I've seen so many people lose their jobs because, like, their company's been bought out, or, you know, there's been a change in administration. That's what happened to me. There's these changes that have these ripple effects, and all of these people, they catch the stray. And I think it was interesting watching everyone feel stress, except for Nigel and Miranda.
Well, and I think one of the like biggest things, first of all, Irv dying was like a total shock to the system. Okay, that was not on my bingo card for this movie.
Why they break the table?
So shocked. Yeah, he literally died.
They had him break the table.
Yeah.
But oh my God.
Also, like, seconds before he was about to announce that he was giving the company to Miranda and that she was going
what
to...
What an unhinged plot point.
Yeah, and I was like, and she deserved it, right? Like, she has worked so hard for that. And then they kill him instead, and I was like, what on earth? But I think absolutely, right? Like, there are so many things that are so relevant from this movie to what's actually going on in the world. I think the way that they got us there for that was the part that was unhinged. But unhinged reality, which... is that really unhinged at that point? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that really was an unhinged point. I just don't understand why. Like, I get that he was going to use the party to announce it, but there's no contract. Like, he didn't send you an email there's no paper trail?
I guess he's old school is the only answer that we really have, is that he wanted to, like, make the announcement first. But, like... hello? How did everyone know that this announcement was happening if there was nothing in writing?
Yeah. A mess. And I feel like I didn't like that after it happened. I forgot another point to bring up, but I'll bring it up later. But I don't like that after it happened, Miranda just seems so, like, just, not that she didn't care, but I feel like it was just like she didn't have the fight in her, yeah, which I think is I think that's an interesting plot point to explore, but it was weird not seeing her activated, like, because maybe it's because I just watched the first film, and at the end of the first film, she basically found a way to save her job, like, by manipulating everyone. And I'm just like, you're telling me that Miranda is gone?
So, you know what I think it is? I think this comes back to the fact that they were really showing that Miranda has aged throughout this film, and that she's not the same person that she was 20 years ago. And I think when you have someone that you've been working with for however long, and you know them, you know their style, you know how they operate, and then that person is just gone and you don't have them anymore, now you have to learn the style of this new person. And if your two styles don't align with each other, you don't have a way to overcome those things like you used to. And I think that's what we really saw. And I think that's the underlying tone of, like, what she was going through was like, well, I used to know how to fight, but that fight doesn't work here anymore. And I don't think she knew how to pull herself out of that without Andy's help. Which is,
I think, very realistic. I think we've all had moments like that where we kind of lost the fight in us. But, I just want to say kudos to the intern that put her phone under the table so she could collect all of the tea. Definitely illegal. That was definitely illegal. But I stand you, girl.
When she just went, I'm going to go get froyo, and everyone in the theater gasped and was like, what is she doing? I knew
when she said that she was going to do some shit. Yeah, I knew she was up to something.
But while we're talking about her, I do have to ask if you've heard all of the controversy about her on the internet. So
no.
There are people on Threads who are up in arms saying that The Devil Wears Prada 2 is racist because she was cast as an intern. And a lot of people have a lot of thoughts, but I am curious, like...
I think I saw something about her name. Okay, yeah, I did see something about her name and people comparing it to, I'm forgetting her name in Harry Potter.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I saw people were comparing it and saying that they felt like her name was heavily stereotyped and sound very similar to a slur. And I think when controversies like this happen, I always pivot to the community it is impacting. Like, if they are saying it's harmful, I'm gonna rock with them. Like, I'm gonna believe you because, like, that's your experience. Like, it may not be my experience or my understanding, but I mean, I don't understand the intern thing. I can understand the name thing. But I thought she was supposed to parallel. I thought she was supposed to parallel Anne Hathaway. Correct. That's what I thought.
Correct.
Okay.
That's also what I thought, and that is what I went into it expecting, and that's what I saw, right? But a lot of folks.
I mean, they made that very obvious too, though. Right. Like, but even the end with the outfit changes, like exactly. It was literally paralleling the first movie.
A lot of folks were saying that, oh, it's because she's Asian that she's the quirky girl who is weird and, you know, doesn't have the best style taste and went to Yale and has this high GPA. And I was like, no, she's just an intern. Like, that's just what happens sometimes with interns. And then a lot of folks were also like, how can you say that people are being racist towards an entire community when Lucy Liu is literally the ultimate savior of this entire film? So I was just curious, because I know that that's going to be something that a lot of people are curious about too, as they're kind of reading reviews.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like just because Lucy Liu saves the magazine doesn't mean that it's like saying, oh, like, I have a black friend, so I can't be racist. Like, correct. I feel like it's the same thing. Like, saying Lucy Liu is in this and saves the magazine doesn't eliminate any other harm that could be there. So I don't agree with that plot. I don't agree with that point.
It's been some interesting discourse on Threads. If anyone is curious, you can go join that conversation on Threads, because that is where it's blowing up right now. But it's been really interesting to kind of follow and see, because, like, I wouldn't know. Like, I'm a white woman. What am I going to know if it's harmful to someone, then it's harmful to someone, right? But it's been really interesting to see kind of the dual perspective of folks around all of that.
Yeah, and speaking of Lucy Liu, I loved her in this. I feel like whenever I see her in anything, I get endorphins. I love her so much. Like, she is just such a phenomenal actress. I think she just, when she's in anything, she just has such a presence. And I really enjoyed her character. There were, like, when she was being interviewed by Miranda, there were, like, things that she was saying that I was like, oh my, I really resonate with this as a woman. Like, I thought she brought such a beautiful energy and presence to this film, and I was so glad that she was in it.
Yes. I thought their conversation, that interview, was literal perfection. Like, talking about how the marriage doesn't define you, like, it doesn't define him, so why does it define you? I was like, this is what everyone needs to hear, right? Like, amazing. I absolutely loved that she was in this. I love that she had such an important role in it also, because she plays boss so well. And that is exactly what she was giving throughout the whole film.
Yeah, it is interesting that I feel like I saw another side to Miranda's character too, as she was interviewing her.
Yes.
And I was like, Miranda, you know, I've always liked you, but I was like, girl, I think I love you now. Like, I was like, just that whole interview, I feel like it was a conversation that I think a lot of women needed to witness. And I think a lot of men too needed to witness. And yeah, it was one of the highlights. I mean, Lucy Liu, but that whole interview was such a highlight for me. I mean, Andy was stressed getting that interview too. So I was shocked when she didn't interview her. I was like, you did all that work and you're not even interviewing her?
No, she was the one writing the article, so she had to be there taking notes for Miranda to interview. But I do agree that we saw a different side of Miranda, and I almost feel like it had Meryl Streep written all over it, that, like, the interview scene had her input on it, because it was very much Meryl, but still Miranda, if that makes sense.
Maryling.
Yes.
Been waiting to use that one. But yeah, I think I want to talk a little bit about Lucy Liu's ex-husband in the film because I feel like he is a tech bro. I feel like tech bros are like the new finance bros.
Unfortunately, yes.
But I feel like he really embodied like the tech bro, and he just gave me the ick, when he was like, his pro AI stuff. Like, I understand being pro change, right? But I think to think AI can replace artists
Problematic.
and culture is just
awful.
Oh, that man gave me the ick. Like, oh my God, when Emily was making fun of him and saying she should have got a lawnmower to shave his chest. Yeah. Oh my God, literally you could tell Emily had the ick about this man. Like, it was, but I loved it. I was like, yes, girl, tell him he's icky, but get you a Chanel band, get you that Cartier watch.
Yes, and, right? Like, yes, and they were also so cringy at the same time that every time
it was so funny
together, it was like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. But also, good for her for being like, please don't touch me. Like, I don't like you. I'm here because I'm also using you. That was just...
I can't believe he broke up with her. I can't believe he broke up with her.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also think that speaks to how Emily didn't develop as a character, right? Like, it goes back to what I had said earlier about, like, she didn't have her chance to shine because she had to hit absolute rock bottom first. And she didn't hit that prior to. Because
rock bottom working at Coach? Because why do I feel like the movie was shading? Why do I feel like they threw shade at Coach?
Yeah. 1000%. Like, for Emily, that is rock bottom, okay? We all know this. However, for the majority of the world, not quite. Not quite.
Yeah, because working at Coach is not rock bottom for me.
No,
okay?
Hello. Discounts on purses, sign me up.
Right, I love a Coach bag. Yeah. Okay, a Coach wallet. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, I feel like that scene where he was talking about being pro change, pro AI, when they were like in that, was it in Italy when they were like in that room that had the painting?
The last summer.
Which that scene between Miranda and Andy when she knew she was caught.
Yeah.
I was like, Miranda is so good with her shade. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is a villainous moment.
Yeah.
And this is a villainous moment.
That's what they wanted, right? They wanted everyone to feel like villains in this, and boy, does she play that so well. But that whole moment where he was talking about, like, oh, the AI will just take over, I do want to say something really quick about that. I think it's really funny that was such a big plot point for his character because, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but the very beginning of the movie when Miranda gets canceled and that AI generated image comes up, that was not AI. That was
it wasn't AI. An artist made it.
Yep, an actual artist made it and has now blown up on Instagram because she was like, oh yeah, I just looked at what AI is doing and did it myself because I can do AI just like AI can do me. Like, and I just thought it was so funny that they used real artists throughout the movie and then they're talking about like this as such a bad part of like his storyline.
Yeah, that is such a funny little Easter egg. Honestly, all of those like reels and like TikTok videos were so, and like the memes of Runway was so funny because I'm like, would people do that to Anna Wintour? Probably. Like, they probably would. But yeah, I think Andy really thought she thought she was saving Runway with this tech bro.
Yeah, she really, I think she more so thought that she was saving Runway with Emily. Emily trusted him, so she could trust him. And that's where parts of the book start to come into it with what happened in the book. Not quite, but like there's trust between the two of them who's the one who breaks that trust? Certainly not Andy. It's going to be Emily, right? And I think that's the part that they kept in, was Emily had to betray Andy for Andy to learn how to grow on her own.
Yeah, and just a disclaimer for people who haven't read the book. In the book, basically, Andy and Emily have a magazine together, and Miranda and her company are trying to buy Andy and Emily's magazine, and Andy doesn't want to give the magazine away because she doesn't trust Miranda. And basically, Andy's husband in the book and Emily work together to sell the magazine behind Andy's back to Miranda and her goons. And we still have that betrayal kind of with the movie. They just change things a little bit. But yeah, I think the betrayal, that it really hit me in this movie, because I felt like it was so nice seeing Emily and Andy bond. You know, I love their scenes together. I was like, oh my God, like they make such a good duo. And then for Emily to be plotting that whole time.
But we find out why later, right? So at the end of the movie, when they finally have their breakfast to rekindle, we find out that the reason that Emily was able to betray her is because she called her, and Andy thought it was a pocket dial, and Emily was trying to reach out because she wanted to hold that friendship. And so because Andy never followed up, Emily was able to betray her. And that, like, broke my heart. And I don't know if that was the intention of that whole thing or not. But I put that together, and I was like, Emily was broken this whole time because she was like, Andy left, and now I've lost a friend. And then for them
and then on top of that,
go ahead.
It's like on top of that, you also have to keep in mind she did her dirty with the whole Paris trip.
Correct.
So there were multiple offenses.
Yeah. All of them are villains, right? All of them are villains.
Yeah, truly. But yeah, I think that line with that Miranda says, like, some of us are artists, are visionaries, and some of us are vendors, or whatever it was. I was like, I get that, because I think not that you can't be both, but I definitely think there are people who are the big ideas people, right? The artists, the visionaries, and then there's the people who kind of help those people execute what they want to do. And I think there's value in both those type of people. And I don't think Emily should see that as shade.
Yeah, I think that you can be both in different scenarios, right? I think in work life, Emily does not have that big picture. But I do think that, like,
she's the executor.
But, like, outside of it, she has the chance to be that visionary. She has good ideas, but she doesn't do well under pressure. And I think that's what Miranda was hinting at, is, like, you can't do this because that's not who you are in this environment. But I think the way that she said it, I was like, oh, that's gotta hurt, right? Like, that's gotta be a rough blow to get from Miranda after all of that. And that's where the old Miranda comes in a little bit.
She's always under the surface, ready to emerge.
Yes.
But now I want to get into kind of the ending of the movie, since we already talked about most of the movie. I want to talk about Nigel. Because listen, the whole movie, because I had just watched the first movie. So the whole time I'm watching the second movie, I'm like, Nigel is going to do Miranda so dirty, because it's been 20 years and he's still working the same job. But I think what they did really well is show that Miranda didn't realize that he wanted more, but not because, like, she wasn't looking, but I think part of Nigel I think he also didn't see the potential in himself.
1000%. And I think in the first movie, when he was passed over, he just decided that that's what his life was going to be, and that he was just going to take that back seat and support Miranda. And it wasn't until Andy came back that Miranda was able to see that he needed more. And that moment where Miranda
could do well with more. Yeah.
And when Miranda goes up to him and was like, have I taken you for granted? Instant tears, okay? I was like, oh my God, they're finally having their moment and he's finally going to get something more. And it made me so happy because justice for Nigel, okay? I love that man with everything.
Me too.
But I thought that was such a good moment. And then for him to look behind Miranda and Andy's just standing there smiling, his absolute biggest advocate from day one. Oh my God. And that only continues. That only continues. Oh my God.
Yeah, that scene also, that scene was so good. That touched me. I feel like Nigel and Emily, I want to see more of their story. I really do. I know we should get another movie.
There was an interview, because all four of them have just been doing interviews together, which I have loved because their chemistry is amazing. But in one of the interviews, Emily Blunt and him were talking about why they don't have scenes together, and it's because they can't keep themselves together. So they're always like laughing, joking around, goofing off, and so they separate them as much as possible so that they can actually get work done. And whether that's true or not, I'm holding on to that because that's so funny. That is such a funny way to like not, or reason to not be in a lot of scenes together.
Yeah. I really love Nigel. Stanley Tucci, I think, is just such a phenomenal actor. I hope they keep putting him in things.
Yes, please.
Please keep putting Stanley Tucci in things. And then the very end of the movie where we get that full circle moment of he's the one. The sweater too, but the fact that Nigel's the one that messaged BJ Novak's character about
always my
Andy,
girl.
Which is so funny. I'm like, it's so funny that I'm like, did he just randomly text him this article, this video?
Because he always kept tabs on her, because he was always watching her from afar and supporting her, even though she had to leave. And I love him so much, and I love their relationship, and him saying, always my girl, while she is wearing the cerulean sweater, broke my soul. Broke my soul.
I love that they brought that back. I heard that Anne Hathaway is the reason why that's in there. I heard she also cut it up. That was her. I heard that.
So I watched an interview with the actual designer, for costumes on set, and she said that Anne had suggested it, but it was her idea to cut it up and make it look a little bit more rustic. And then Anne was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I love that." But they couldn't. They did have the original blue sweater. Okay, they had the original cerulean sweater with the stain on it. So they had to get a custom-made sweater without the stain to be able to make it happen, because they never got the stain out 20 years ago. So the original sweater is still intact, and I was cracking up. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So they literally
put that in the Met.
That sweater. Yeah, right?
Hang it up in the Met.
It is a work of art, okay?
Yeah, someone please keep it away from Kim Kardashian. Put it in a museum.
Literally.
That is the people's sweater. Yes. Okay. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna say this movie, I think, was a really great sequel. I think sometimes they leaned a little bit too much into the nostalgia, a little bit, and maybe it's because I just watched the first movie, but a lot of the scenes with Nigel and Andy are almost identical to some of the scenes in the first movie. Mm-hmm. I feel like Andy has a little bit of I think she's one of those people who needs to get that validation of you're doing a good job, you're wonderful, a lot. I think she's that kind of person, and I'm surprised that we're still seeing her struggle with that 20 years later.
Mm-hmm. But again, I think it's just Miranda that she struggles with that. I think
it brings it out of her.
Yeah,
it brings it out of her. I can see that.
Because it brings her back 20 years. It makes her feel like she's that kid again who is going through everything that she went through 20 years ago.
Which in the book, I feel like you also get that's explored a lot as well, right? Yeah. It's kind of the aftermath and the PTSD and all of that after working at Runway. But yeah, I think overall this was a really good sequel. I'd almost give it an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7.8.
So as someone who, I did not rewatch the first movie beforehand, because I love that movie so much. I know it by heart. It is honestly, it's my favorite movie. It's been my favorite movie for 20 years. And I'm not going to lie about that, right? So I was jazzed for this. So I was like, let me go into it without watching it and see. And then when I got home, I rewatched the first movie. And so so I did it kind of in reverse because I wanted to be able to go in with a fresh set of eyes, and I would have been a little bit more judgy if I watched the first one again right before I went to go see it. So nostalgic wise, I thought that it was the perfect amount of nostalgia. I thought that the way in which they were like, because a lot of the recreating and everything, Andy was talking about it, right? So when they went into the cafeteria, she made a joke like, "Oh, they still have soup." And he was like, "And you're still going to eat it," right? Like, those jokes were purposely put there. And I thought that that was part of, like, the comedy of it, right? Is that Andy was the one reminiscing through it and was like, "Oh my God, this is my life 20 years ago."
And literally no one else cared.
Yes, yes.
No one else cared. Like, Miranda's like, "Who is this?"
And I think that's why I liked the way in which they did the nostalgia so much. So for a sequel, if every sequel could be like this, I would be happy. Yeah,
it's a very good sequel. I agree. Yeah. I think for me, one of the reasons why I rated a 8, maybe a 7.8 out of 10 is because of also, like, the other characters that were in the film. I feel like they just felt a bit like one note. Like, Simone Ashley, I'm a huge fan of her, and I felt like she was kind of wasted. Like, what's her name? Pauline Chalamet, Timothy Chalamet's sister. Why was she there?
A 4-second
I love
cameo.
The Lady Gaga
Yes.
and Miranda beef was so good. Oh my God,
really, really
I love their beef.
Yeah.
Loved it. I think Meryl Streep said that if they ever do another movie, they should have Lady Gaga play kind of like a Miranda-esque character, and I would love that.
I would be lined up to see that.
When they release the DVD, I hope that they have like a deleted scene for us to really understand why Miranda and Lady Gaga have beef.
Yes. I do think that
I need it.
That was
injected in my veins.
Yes, please. I thought that whole thing was so funny, and I love the way that it carried, right? So when they start talking about it in the conference room, and they're like, "No, we're just not going to have music," and she's like, "Fine, I'll do it." And, like, you can see there that Nigel's going to be in charge of this, and he's going to make it happen, even though he doesn't have that authority, right? And so there's, like, a lot of foreshadowing with that, but then for it to actually happen, and opening the door to see that it's Lady Gaga, that was top tier. I absolutely love that, and I loved the song that she performed too. So I'm a big Gaga fan, so I was very happy about that.
The music overall in this film, I thought, was really good. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this episode. I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you on the spot while we're live again, as I do. I want to talk about our potential next episode. Yes. We talked a little bit about this. And I'm thinking with Off Campus coming out in a couple days, that we should do the second book.
Yes.
We can do the first one too, but I think we should start with the second one. Just because I feel like people are going to be like, "Oh my God, so what happens next?" Like, injected in my veins, what's next? So you want to know what's next? We're going to let you know, because we're going to do our next book club. We're going to chat about it. We're going to do a whole deep dive on that book. We'll send you guys the updates of when we're going to do that. If you are not in our Discord, make sure you join our Discord, because we're going to be very active in there as we read and break down this book with y'all. So yes, wanted to announce that. Wanted to also make sure that was an announcement we wanted to share together.
Yes. I'm so excited. I finished the whole series in like 3 days, okay?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm addicted to that series. I cannot wait for the show.
Did you hear she got a new book coming out?
Yes, I did, and I'm so excited about it. Returning to Briar U with a whole new series. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yes. And speaking of, this is another, I love asking you questions on the spot. Once the show drops, we're doing an episode.
Duh. I thought that went without saying.
Okay.
Compare it to the book. We got to know
Yeah.
how much of it stayed, especially. I'm very curious now that I've read it, right? Now that I've read it, I'm very curious to see how they're going to do some of the things in the show because the book does have trigger warnings. So the deal itself
Oh my God.
does have trigger warnings.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because I've loved the trailers, the teasers, the promo for this, but I'm like, should there be? I mean, I'm sure they're going to have a trigger warning like for the episode for the sensitive topics, but it raises the question of should these shows and these movies include trigger warnings in their trailers and teasers, or is the rating enough?
So that's a great question. And here's my thing. I think yes, because there are some people who the second they hear something, they can't be a part of it, right? And so if they are blindly going in, they don't know anything about it, and the first thing that they hear is that there is SA involved, and there's the hard R word, which in this book, they use the hard R. So if you hear that word, sometimes you are immediately triggered and you are brought back to the experience that happened to you. And so I think that's where I'm like, yes, absolutely. For the people who don't need it, you can ignore it, right? Like in books, I don't need trigger warnings, and I am very privileged to say that. And so during audiobooks, during books in general, I just skip the trigger warning page because it doesn't impact me at all. But I think always including that for the people who do need it is just common courtesy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do that for this series. I feel like they're going to. Oh, this is another thing I forgot to announce. We're going to see the cast of that show in 2 days.
I'm so excited. Oh my God.
I forgot, yes. We are going to be going to a Page to Screen Con by, what is it,
Creation Entertainment.
Creation Entertainment. We're going to be there this Saturday. We're going to be able to see the cast of Off Campus. They're going to have a panel. It's going to be super exciting. If anyone does want to go, I'll make sure to put a link to get tickets for it in the comments or in wherever you are watching this. You will be able to find the link for tickets. You can get tickets up until the day of. So there are still some available. And if you do come, make sure you let one of us know because maybe we can link up and have some yap sessions. All right?
Very excited about this.
Very excited. Thank you guys so much for listening to us yap because that's what we do. We yap here. We have our girly yaps. And make sure you follow Victoria on TikTok and Instagram. Let them know where they can find you.
TikTok, I am at Another Fine Read, and on Instagram, I am at _Victoria Nicole with an H.
Yes, and then I am at Take It From Here Take It From Here .media. Why do I keep messing this up? Take It From Here .media on Instagram and TikTok. And on YouTube, thanks, I'll take it from here. So our Discord will also be in the show notes and also in the caption of wherever you are watching this. So make sure you join, hit our handles, and make sure you catch us on our next one when we're talking about Off Campus. Bye, guys.